Some motorcycles were made to go fast, others to flirt with death. From unpredictable death traps to machines so powerful they've been banned from public roads, these are the 20 most dangerous bikes ever built. And it all begins with a two-stroke beast unleashed in 1972. Number 20, Kawasaki H2 Mach 4. Nicknamed the Widowmaker, the Kawasaki H2 Mach 4 didn't just turn heads, it snapped necks. Released in the early 1970s, it was less a motorcycle and more a wild beast in chrome skin. Riders weren't just signing up for speed, they were strapping themselves to a missile with handlebars. It promised chaos in a straight line, and for many thrill seekers, that was the exact appeal. The H2 had no mercy for hesitation, no patience for caution. If adrenaline had a shape, it looked exactly like this two-wheeled menace. The sheer thrill of twisting the throttle was matched only by the fear that followed. Under the tank, a 749 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple engine roared like a caged animal. With lightning-fast acceleration and almost no modern safety tech to tame it, this bike was a dare in metal form. It lacked electronic assists, decent brakes, and even a proper chassis to handle its raw punch. Yet despite its flaws, or maybe because of them, the Mach 4 was magnetic. People didn't buy it for safety. They bought it for the rush. Priced around $1,000 back in its heyday, the H2 Mach 4 was a bargain wrapped in pure lunacy. Riding it felt like shaking hands with the Grim Reaper and laughing while you did it. It wasn't a motorcycle. It was a middle finger to reason. And just when you think you've seen something crazy, wait until you meet the next bike on this list. It doesn't just flirt with danger, it takes it home for the night. Number 19, Suzuki TL1000S. The Suzuki TL1000S looked like a dream and rode like a dare. It burst onto the scene in the late 1990s with the confidence of a street fighter and the curves of a sport bike. But behind its bold frame was a reputation so chaotic it quickly earned a nickname that riders whispered, the Widowmaker. The TL1000s wasn't just wild, it was unpredictable. It made you feel alive in the most thrilling and terrifying way, like riding a lightning bolt with handlebars. Powering this beast was a 1,000 cubic centimeter V-twin engine that felt more like a coiled spring than a controlled machine. With massive torque, aggressive fueling, and a quirky rotary rear damper that just didn't behave, it combined speed with a sense of instability few dared to challenge. This wasn't a bike for beginners. It punished hesitation and awarded bravery. Back then, you could pick one up for under $10,000, which made it feel like strapping a rocket to your wallet. It was beauty, power, and danger, all for the price of a used family sedan. Riding it was like dating someone wild. You never knew if you'd end up at a party or the emergency room. And if you think that was sketchy, wait until you meet the bike that was literally banned in some countries. Number 18, Yamaha VMAX 1200. The Yamaha VMAX 1200 didn't whisper into the world. It kicked down the door and dared you to tame it. This wasn't a cruiser for Sunday strolls. It was a wild stallion in chrome armor, built for one thing: chaos at full throttle. Riders either worshipped it or feared it, and sometimes both at once. It looked like a power cruiser, but deep down, it had the soul of a street brawler. One twist of the throttle and you'd feel it. This bike wasn't here to make friends. You don't just ride a VMAX, you survive it. Underneath that bold exterior lived a liquid-cooled V4 engine that redefined the word aggression. Packing raw thrust and backed by Yamaha's V-Boost system, it kicked in like a shot of adrenaline at 6,000 revolutions per minute, turning every ride into a fistfight with gravity. It didn't just accelerate, it lunged. The VMAX wasn't packed with electronic rider aids or modern tech. That's part of what made it so exhilarating and so dangerous. It was pure, unfiltered power, and it demanded full respect every second. This was not a bike for the faint of heart. It was a mechanical test of courage. Every time you twisted the throttle, your pulse jumped to match the RPMs. Starting at around $5,000 used today, depending on condition, the VMAX seems like a bargain if you measure value in thrill per dollar. It's the motorcycle version of strapping a rocket to your back and hoping for the best. One moment of overconfidence and it'll teach you a lesson in humility, quickly. But for the brave, it's one hell of a ride. Think that's intense? Wait until you see the next bike. It was banned from the streets for being just a little too fast. Number 17, Suzuki TM400 Cyclone. The Suzuki TM400 Cyclone looked like a ticket to off-road glory, but it rode more like a bull with a vendetta. This motocross machine lured in daring riders with promises of two-stroke thunder, then bucked them off like a rodeo champ on caffeine. It became infamous not just for its speed, but for how violently unpredictable it was, especially for young racers hoping to tame it. Few bikes have left such a trail of bruises, broken bones, and unforgettable war stories. If danger had a motorcycle-shaped mascot, it would be this wild child from the 1970s. Powering the Cyclone was a two-stroke engine that delivered an explosive punch of horsepower, all at once and usually when you least expected it. There was no traction control, no electronic assists, just raw, unfiltered chaos. Its sudden power band kicked in like a slap to the chest, catching even seasoned riders off guard. For thrill seekers, that brutal unpredictability was oddly magnetic. The TM400 wasn't just a challenge, it was a rite of passage. Priced around $1,200 back in the day, it seemed like a steal, until you realized it might also steal your dignity or your collarbone. Riding one was like juggling chainsaws, thrilling, dangerous, and occasionally disastrous. And just when you thought the TM400 was the wildest thing on two wheels, the next bike might make it look like a puppy on training wheels. Number 16, Honda ATC 250R. The Honda ATC 250R looked like pure off-road fun, a rugged three-wheeled beast begging to be unleashed on dirt trails. It had a wild, almost cartoonish charm, like something a mad scientist would dream up for adrenaline junkies. But behind that innocent appearance lurked a machine so unstable, it became infamous for flipping and injuring riders left and right. It was more than just dangerous. It became a symbol of recklessness in motion. For many, riding one was a rite of passage into pain and glory, the kind of thrill that leaves scars, both physical and unforgettable. At the heart of the madness was a two-stroke engine that roared with raw aggression, delivering jolts of power that made this thing a rocket on three wheels. No suspension magic or electronics to save you, just raw mechanical mayhem in every twist of the throttle. The lightweight frame and racing pedigree gave it serious bite, but without a fourth wheel, it was also fatally flawed. Riders were drawn to it like moths to a flame, knowing full well the danger but unable to resist the thrill. Back then, you could grab one for under $2,000, which made it way too easy for young daredevils to get in over their heads. Riding the ATC 250R felt like strapping yourself to a lawnmower with a grudge. And if you think this three-wheeled menace was intense, wait until you meet the motorcycle that broke bones if you looked at it the wrong way. Number 15, Yamaha TZ750 Flat Tracker. The Yamaha TZ750 Flat Tracker is the kind of bike that looks you in the eye and dares you to blink. Born from a need to break every rule in the dirt track playbook, it wasn't just a motorcycle. It was a wild animal wearing number plates. This wasn't about comfort or control. It was about chaos, adrenaline, and a taste of racing danger that left even seasoned pros thinking twice. You didn't ride the TZ750, you survived it. And somewhere between fear and fascination, it became legendary. At the heart of this madness was a two-stroke 750 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine stolen straight from a road racing monster. The result? A dirt track bike with brutal acceleration and zero chill. No traction control, no rider aids, just raw, violent power. It made grown men sweat before even twisting the throttle. What made it irresistible was also what made it terrifying. The pure, unfiltered performance that left riders hanging on for dear life. There was never really a price tag for this beast, because it was never meant for your average rider. This bike was for gladiators, not commuters. It was like strapping yourself to a rocket and hoping the Earth spun the right direction. Number 14, MTT Y2K Turbine Superbike. If mad science had a motorcycle division, the MTT Y2K Turbine Superbike would be its Frankenstein masterpiece. This isn't just a bike, it's a missile disguised as a machine created for riders who laugh in the face of common sense. born from the kind of imagination that asks, what if we slapped a jet engine on two wheels? The Y2K doesn't care about tradition, logic, or your heart rate. It's the motorcycle that doesn't just push boundaries, it sets them on fire and dares you to cross. Underneath its sleek, futuristic frame roars a Rolls-Royce Allison 250 C18 turboshaft engine. Yes, the kind used in helicopters. Producing over 300 horsepower, it delivers more than 425 pound-feet of torque straight to the rear wheel. The Y2K can exceed 200 miles per hour with terrifying grace, and its high-tech dashboard looks like it belongs in a fighter jet. It's not just powerful, it's unhinged. This isn't about control, it's about surviving the ride. The moment you twist that throttle, you're not a rider, you're a daredevil dancing with fire. But here's the kicker. This beast can cost up to $225,000. That's not a motorcycle, that's a supercar in disguise. Riding the Y2K is like adopting a dragon. Beautiful, rare, and completely unpredictable. It's the kind of bike you ride once and never forget. And just when you think this is the craziest bike on the list, wait until you meet the one that actually broke bones during its test runs. Number 13, Myco 700. If there's a bike that feels more like a weapon than a machine, it's the Myco 700. This beast didn't roll off the line to make friends. It came to dominate. Just the sight of it is enough to make seasoned riders pause. With a frame that barely looks like it can contain the chaos inside, this is the kind of motorcycle that laughs in the face of moderation. It was never about comfort or convenience. This was about raw, wild power wrapped in just enough metal to keep it together. It's the kind of machine that separates the fearless from the foolish. The Myco 700 comes packed with a monstrous two-stroke single-cylinder engine that delivers enough torque to launch you into next week. Originally designed for off-road madness, it quickly earned a reputation for being nearly unrideable at full throttle. There's no traction control, no rider modes, just pure, unfiltered power. Exactly what thrill seekers dream of and sane riders avoid. It feels more like a dirt bike possessed by a dragster. What makes it dangerous is what makes it legendary. A complete lack of compromise. Twist the throttle and the world blurs. You won't find a showroom price on the Myco 700 anymore, but if you do stumble upon one in the wild, expect to pay in the ballpark of $10,000. It's like buying a lion for the price of a dog. It looks cool until it bites. This isn't just a motorcycle, it's an adrenaline delivery system wrapped in two wheels and terror. And if you think the Myco was intense, wait until you meet the bike that was banned in multiple countries just for being too fast. Number 12, Suzuki Hayabusa GSX 1300R. The Suzuki Hayabusa GSX 1300R isn't just a motorcycle, it's a dare in metal form. With its unmistakable silhouette and cult status, this bike doesn't whisper fast, it screams it before you even hit the throttle. It's the kind of machine that turns heads and twists guts, built for the brave, not the faint-hearted. Riding a Hayabusa isn't just transportation, it's an emotional statement, a bold middle finger to the ordinary. Underneath the streamlined bodywork lies a beastly 1,340 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that delivers pure adrenaline with every twist of the wrist. It pushes out nearly 155 pound-feet of torque, launching the bike with breathtaking ferocity. Despite its reputation, the Hayabusa is loaded with features: ride modes, traction control, and Brembo brakes. It's this rare mix of refined engineering and sheer lunacy that makes it a deadly delight. There's a reason legends are born at full throttle. Starting around $18,000, the Hayabusa delivers the kind of thrill per dollar ratio that most exotics can only dream of. It's like strapping yourself to a rocket with handlebars and hoping your guardian angel rides pillion. And if you think this machine is wild, wait until you meet the next two-wheeled maniac that makes even the Hayabusa look tame. Number 11, Kawasaki GPZ750 Turbo. If motorcycles had a rebel phase, the Kawasaki GPZ750 Turbo would be its poster child. Built in the mid-1980s when turbochargers were the future everyone feared and craved, this bike didn't just flirt with danger, it took it on a full-throttle date. The GP750 Turbo wasn't designed to be sensible. It was designed to shock, thrill, and sometimes terrify. It represented a time when manufacturers were experimenting wildly, and Kawasaki decided to stuff rocket fuel into a street machine. For riders chasing a high, this machine offered the ultimate fix. Kawasaki outfitted this beast with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that delivered performance that could bite if you weren't careful. With delayed turbo lag kicking in like a sucker punch, it was fast, sometimes unpredictably so. The power delivery felt like someone flipped a switch from cruise to hold on for dear life. It had advanced tech for its time, including electronic fuel injection, but lacked the modern stability systems we rely on today. Costing around $5,000 when it launched, it was a steal for a time bomb on 2 wheels. Riding one today is like riding a firework with handlebars. It might light up your soul or scare it right out of you. But the next bike we're about to cover didn't just scare riders, it scared manufacturers too. Number 10. Honda CX500 Turbo. The Honda CX500 Turbo looked like it came straight from a sci-fi film. Bold, futuristic, and just a little unhinged. It was Honda's wild experiment to prove that the future of motorcycles was turbocharged, and they didn't hold back. This wasn't just a bike. It was a statement, a rolling piece of audacity. Riders either fell in love instantly or got completely terrified. One twist of the throttle could make your heart race faster than the machine itself, and that's saying something. With a turbocharged V-twin engine tucked under its quirky bodywork, the CX500 Turbo could surprise even seasoned riders. Turbo lag meant the power came on suddenly, almost violently, making for a ride that was as unpredictable as it was thrilling. It had advanced electronics for its time, but still felt like taming a beast with a keyboard. Originally priced around $4,500, the CX500 Turbo offered an irresistible combo of cutting-edge tech and sheer insanity. It was like buying a rocket disguised as a commuter bike. Owning one felt like joining a secret club for people who laugh in the face of risk. And if you think this Honda was wild, just wait until you meet the motorcycle that was banned in multiple countries. Coming up next. Number 9. Suzuki XN85. The Suzuki XN85 wasn't just a motorcycle. It was Suzuki's turbocharged middle finger to convention. Introduced in the early 1980s, this bike was all about pushing boundaries and flirting with disaster. With sharp lines, futuristic design, and a name that sounded like a space probe, the XN85 looked fast just standing still. But behind its sci-fi styling was a machine that demanded respect and punished anyone who underestimated it. This wasn't a ride for the timid. At its heart, the XN85 packed a turbocharged 747 cubic centimeter inline-4 that snarled with unpredictable power. It was one of the first factory turbo bikes and came with aggressive low handlebars, anti-dive forks, and a firm ride that felt more track day than Sunday cruise. But the real kicker? That turbo lag. One moment you're crawling through traffic, the next, the boost kicks in like a caffeine-fueled bear, launching you into hyperspace. The XN85 was priced at around $4,500 back in its day, but riding it felt like trying to tame a wild animal in a straitjacket. It was bold, rare, and just a little bit crazy. Think of it as the motorcycle equivalent of drinking espresso during an earthquake. But hold on tight, because the next bike on this list takes danger to a whole new level. Number 8. Yamaha XJ650 Turbo. The Yamaha XJ650 Turbo was Yamaha's wild card in the turbo era of the 1980s. A sleek-looking rocket that promised the future but delivered a thrill ride that few were ready for. It looked cool, sounded space-age, and felt like you were taming something unstable, yet seductive. Riders were drawn to it like moths to flame, not realizing just how intense the fire really was. One twist of the throttle and you'd know. This bike didn't just accelerate, it exploded forward. Some called it exciting, others called it terrifying. But one thing's for sure, it demanded your respect, or it'd remind you the hard way. Underneath the aggressive styling sat a turbocharged 650 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, promising performance ahead of its time. But the real kicker? Lag. Massive turbo lag made throttle response unpredictable. Calm 1 second, full-on beast mode the next. Add soft suspension and average brakes, and it was clear. This bike didn't just test your reflexes, it tested your will to ride again. It was affordable compared to other turbo bikes of the time, but that value came with a cost: your comfort zone. With a price tag back then under $5,000, it seemed like a steal until it nearly stole your life. It's like buying a tiger cub thinking it'll cuddle with you forever. Next up, we have a motorcycle so sketchy it made the XJ650 look polite. Number 7. Harley-Davidson V-Rod. The Harley-Davidson V-Rod looked like a rebel even parked. A radical break from Harley's chrome cruiser comfort zone, it roared into the scene with a drag-strip soul and devil-may-care attitude. It didn't just turn heads, it left jaws on the pavement. It was Harley's wild card, their shot at muscle bike glory, and for a moment, it felt like pure American thunder bottled in steel. For riders who felt too tame on a traditional hog, the V-Rod was the beast that dared them to hold on tighter. It wasn't just a bike, it was a statement of rebellion with a speed problem. Under the tank sat a 1,130 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled Revolution engine developed with Porsche, yes, that Porsche, producing explosive low-end torque and screaming high-rev performance. With drag race DNA and fat rear rubber, it shot off the line like a rocket strapped to a bowling ball. The low-slung frame, forward foot controls, and aggressive styling gave it the stance of a street predator. Every twist of the throttle felt like unleashing a storm, and with Harley's engineering, it didn't just go fast, it demanded your respect. Some called it misunderstood, others called it thrilling, but everyone agreed. It didn't ride like any Harley before it. The V-Rod started around $17,000, but the real price was measured in courage. Owning one meant taming a muscle-bound maniac that didn't care if you were ready. It was Harley's beautiful mistake, a wild child too bold to fit in. And if you thought this bike was intense, wait until you meet the machine that made even seasoned riders sweat bullets. Number 6. Vincent Black Shadow. The Vincent Black Shadow wasn't just a motorcycle. It was a legend wrapped in black enamel and raw audacity. In the 1950s, it terrified police and thrilled speed demons alike. Riding one was a statement and not a quiet one. The bike looked like it had been pulled straight from a noir film with an attitude that whispered danger and speed. For many, it was love at first glance, even if that love came with a death wish. You didn't just ride a Black Shadow, you dared it not to kill you. Beneath its sinister shell, the Black Shadow roared with a 1,000 cubic centimeter V-twin engine that made it the fastest production motorcycle of its era. It could hit 125 miles per hour when most cars were gasping at 70. With girder front forks and a minimalistic frame, the bike demanded respect because it sure wasn't handing out forgiveness. For thrill seekers, it was worth every risk. The line between life and death felt thinner than ever, and somehow that was the draw. Back in the day, owning a Black Shadow set you back around $1,000, peanuts compared to its modern collector price tags in the hundreds of thousands. Riding one was like strapping yourself to a guided missile in leather boots. It was beauty, brutality, and chaos in perfect harmony. But if you think that's insane, wait until you see the bike that made even the Black Shadow look tame. Number 5. Vincent Black Lightning. It didn't just look dangerous, it was dangerous. The Vincent Black Lightning wasn't built for the faint of heart. This bike was a two-wheeled rebellion draped in black and dripping with attitude. Born in the late 1940s, it quickly gained a reputation as one of the fastest and most unforgiving machines of its era. Every time a rider twisted that throttle, they weren't just speeding, they were gambling with history. You didn't just ride a Black Lightning, you held on for dear life. It was raw, untamed, and absolutely mesmerizing. Under the tank rumbled a 1,000 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, pushing the limits of what motorcycles were meant to do in its time. It could hit over 150 miles per hour, almost unheard of back then. Its lightweight frame, stripped-down design, and high-performance specs made it a record breaker and a legend. But this wasn't a bike that forgave mistakes. One wrong move and the machine could turn into a missile. This was speed before safety, thrill before comfort, danger before design. The Black Lightning didn't care about your limits. It dared you to exceed them. For many, it wasn't just a motorcycle. It was a personal revolution. Today, owning one is like having Excalibur in your garage. With auction prices soaring past $400,000, it's no bargain. But then again, danger never came cheap. Riding it feels like holding a lit stick of dynamite, exhilarating, blinding, and always on the edge. And if you think this is wild, wait until you meet the next beast. It doesn't just flirt with danger, it marries it. Number 4. Brau Superior SS100. Nicknamed the Rolls-Royce of motorcycles, Brau Superior SS100 lured thrill seekers with its reputation for speed and luxury in the 1930s. This wasn't a ride for the timid, it was a two-wheeled rebellion, wrapped in polished steel and stitched leather. The SS100 didn't just offer adventure, it demanded it. For every rider who straddled this beast, the line between bravery and recklessness blurred fast. It was beautiful, yes, but beautifully dangerous. If motorcycles had warning labels, this one would have read, "For maniacs with taste." Powered by a V-twin engine hand-tuned to exceed 100 miles per hour, at a time when most roads weren't even paved, the SS100 roared like a jet and handled like a wild horse on ice. There was no traction control, no electronic safety net, just raw speed and steel nerves. Riders loved it because it wasn't just a machine. It was a mechanical challenge. Riding one felt like riding the future, even if your odds of surviving were stuck in the past. This bike didn't care about safety, it cared about soul. And that's what made it unforgettable. Back in its heyday, it cost around $150. Serious money then. Today, rare models fetch hundreds of thousands, which makes sense for a machine that basically came with its own death wish. Owning one now is like owning a vintage fighter plane. Awe-inspiring, terrifying, and slightly insane. But if you think the SS100 was dangerous, wait till you meet the next monster. It makes this one look tame. Number 3, Kerry McLean's monowheel. It looks like something from a sci-fi fever dream. The Kerry McLean monowheel isn't just a motorcycle, it's a one-wheeled daredevil's fantasy brought to life. Picture this, a human being inside a giant spinning wheel hurtling forward like a roller coaster with no tracks. It's bold, it's wild, and it's one of the most visually absurd machines to ever touch pavement. There's something both genius and terrifying about trusting your life to a contraption that looks like it belongs in a carnival stunt show. But the dream of pushing boundaries has always come with a price, and sometimes it's your own safety. Powered by a modified Buick V8 engine in later builds, the monowheel is a raw force of mechanical madness. It offers nothing in the way of traction control, balance assistance, or common sense. Its minimalistic design strips away the security of a traditional frame, leaving riders to tame this metal beast with sheer instinct and luck. The centrifugal forces alone are enough to make your stomach churn, and that's before it hits highway speeds. What made it such a fascinating deal? It was home-built brilliance chasing speed for the sake of it, like strapping yourself inside a cannon and hoping for the best. It wasn't just a machine, it was a wild experiment in how far you could push one wheel and one man. There was no price tag. This wasn't about the market, it was about the madness. Like riding a flaming hula hoop powered by horsepower and hubris, the monowheel was a rolling warning sign. Kerry McLean's near-fatal crash only cemented its legacy as a cautionary tale wrapped in steel and speed. But if you think that was intense, wait until you meet the next machine. It looks tame until it starts flying. Number 2, Suzuki X7. The Suzuki X7 may look like a classic sweetheart from the late 1970s, but this thing had a rebellious streak that could bite. It was lightweight, aggressive, and born to misbehave. A wolf in teenagers' clothing. At a time when most entry-level bikes played it safe, the X7 said, "Forget safe, let's go fast and live dangerously." It didn't just give young riders their first taste of speed, it gave them a full-course meal with extra spice. For many, this was the bike that introduced risk, thrill, and a little too much temptation. It wasn't just a ride, it was a dare. With its feisty two-stroke, twin-cylinder engine and nimble frame, the X7 screamed performance at a price that lured the young and the reckless. It handled like a dream, right up until you realized dreams can turn into nightmares on a dime. There were no fancy electronic aids, no ABS, and barely any forgiveness. It was all about raw mechanical adrenaline. The Suzuki X7 delivered a bang-for-buck punch that made it dangerously fun, especially in the hands of someone who had no idea what they were doing. Back in the day, you could snag an X7 for just under $1,000, which made it the ultimate temptation for budget thrill seekers. It was like giving a bottle rocket to a kid with a lighter. Something wild was bound to happen. And speaking of explosive machines, the next bike on our list might just be the two-wheeled equivalent of playing with fire. Number 1. Suzuki X5. The Suzuki X5 may not look like a death trap at first glance, but this unassuming two-stroke twin had a dangerous streak hiding behind its modest size. It was the kind of motorcycle that lured in beginners with its lightweight build and charming simplicity, only to teach them very quickly that not all bikes play fair. With twitchy handling and unpredictable braking, the X5 had a habit of biting back at the worst possible moments. It became the kind of bike you respected out of fear, not just admiration. It's a reminder that danger doesn't always roar. It sometimes hums softly until it slams you into reality. Packing a 200 cubic centimeter two-stroke engine, the X5 was quick, buzzy, and notoriously jumpy at higher speeds. Riders loved its eagerness but cursed its instability. The bike had minimal tech, no electronic aids, and relied on drum brakes that faded fast. It was light, cheap, and responsive, but also prone to speed wobbles and poor traction under pressure. What made it a good deal for some was precisely what made it dangerous for others. Riding one felt like riding a firecracker with wheels, exhilarating if it didn't explode in your hands. Selling for under $1,500 back in the day, it was a tempting offer for thrill seekers on a budget. But buying one was like adopting a caffeinated squirrel with a grudge. Fun, until it turned on you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these dangerous motorcycles, let us know in the comments. If you want to check out Harley-Davidson just got saved, but not how you think, click on the left. And if you don't want to miss any wild rides, make sure to hit that subscribe button.